The Last 24 Hours, Elvis Presley. Full documentary script opening scene, soft piano and faint guitar in the background. August 16, 1977. The heavy summer air hung over Memphis, Tennessee, as the city slept. Inside the grand white mansion of Graceland, the most famous home in rock and roll, Elvis Presley, icon, innovator, and beloved son of the South, was living the final hours of his remarkable life. This is the story of those hours. A slow, poignant journey through the king's last day, the friends who surrounded him, and the legacy that would outlive them all. Prologue: The Legend and the Man. To the world, Elvis was the king of rock and roll, a revolutionary artist who fused gospel, blues, and country into a sound that changed music forever. But to the people closest to him, the Memphis Mafia, his family, his friends, he was a man of contrasts. He was dazzling and shy, generous and private, driven by creativity but weary from fame. As we walk through the final 24 hours of his life, we remember not just the icon but the human being, flawed, tender, and unforgettable. Midnight approaches. The evening of August 15, 1977, slips toward midnight. Elvis, then 42, has trouble sleeping. His girlfriend, Ginger Alden, recalls him pacing the halls of Graceland, restless but gentle. He flips through spiritual books, a habit that gives him comfort, and chats with staff members about upcoming tour dates. Despite health problems and exhaustion, he remains focused on music, still dreaming of new shows, still the consummate performer. Health and hidden struggles. For years, Elvis battled serious health issues. High blood pressure, liver stress, and an enlarged heart were compounded by the prescription medications prescribed by Dr. George "Nick" Nikopoulos. The pills, meant to keep him on the road and on stage, took a toll. Friends noticed he often seemed tired or bloated, yet he kept his pain private, masking it with jokes or sudden bursts of charm. The public saw glittering jumpsuits. Those closest to him saw a man fighting fatigue and loneliness. The Memphis Mafia Elvis rarely spent a day alone. His close-knit group of friends and cousins, the Memphis Mafia, formed a protective wall around him. Joe Esposito, Jerry Schilling, Charlie Hodge, and others were more than bodyguards. They were companions who shared laughter, late-night conversations, and the weight of Elvis's fame. They planned his tours, managed his schedules, and tried to shield him from relentless attention. On that final night, they sensed something different, a deeper weariness, a quiet that even Elvis's playful side could not hide. Early morning at Graceland, shortly after midnight, Elvis joins Ginger in the kitchen for a light snack, his usual favorites, a simple sandwich and a few grapes. He talks about music and a racquetball game planned for later in the day. Graceland's staff keep the mansion quietly alive, cooks prepping food, groundskeepers tending to the property. Few imagine these are the final ordinary sounds Elvis will ever hear. The racquetball court by afternoon, Elvis heads to his personal racquetball court, a favorite retreat where he can sweat out stress with cousins Billy and Rick Stanley. They laugh, trade shots across the court, and enjoy a fleeting sense of normalcy. Between games, Elvis moves to the piano and begins to sing. Witnesses recall a soft, haunting rendition of Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. The melody floats through the court, melancholy, intimate, almost prophetic. It will be the last song he sings. Plans for the future returning to the mansion. Elvis speaks with Ginger about upcoming concerts and even ideas for new gospel recordings. Always thinking ahead, always planning the next creative move. Despite his health, he remains an artist to the core, excited about music's possibilities. Around midnight, he tells Ginger he's going to the bathroom to read, carrying a book about the Shroud of Turin, a subject that fascinated him. Silence in the morning hours pass. The humid Memphis morning brightens, then deepens into afternoon. Ginger wakes and notices that Elvis has not returned. She knocks gently, then enters the bathroom. The king of rock and roll lies on the floor, motionless. Panic floods the room. The call for help staff members rush in. Joe Esposito calls emergency services. Paramedics raced to Baptist Memorial Hospital, performing CPR along the way. But the effort is in vain. At 3:30 p.m. on August 16, 1977, doctors pronounce Elvis Aaron Presley dead. He is only 42. The world reacts. The news travels with astonishing speed. Radios interrupt broadcasts. Televisions flash bulletins. Elvis Presley has died at his Memphis home. Fans weep openly in the streets. Outside Graceland, thousands gather in stunned silence. Across the globe, from small American towns to London and Tokyo, the grief is immediate and profound. Fellow musicians pay tribute. From Bruce Springsteen to Johnny Cash, artists speak of his influence. Even President Jimmy Carter releases a heartfelt statement, calling Elvis unique and irreplaceable. The funeral Graceland becomes a sea of flowers and candlelight. On August 18th, mourners file past the open casket in the music room, catching a final glimpse of the man who had given them so much joy. More than 75,000 people crowd the streets of Memphis for the funeral procession. The Memphis Mafia stands guard, hearts broken but proud to protect him one last time. Legacy. Beyond the legend Elvis's passing does not end his story. Record sales surge. His movies, gospel albums, and unforgettable television specials find new audiences. Graceland itself transforms into a shrine visited by millions. From rock and country to R&B and pop, his influence remains unmatched. Artists from Prince to Beyoncé echo his style and daring. His generosity, humor, and deep love of music inspire new generations. Remembering the man, friends, remember the small things. His laughter at late-night movies, his quiet moments reading scripture, his love of family, of the simple foods of the South, of driving through Memphis just to watch the city lights. They remember a man who, despite fame, longed for normalcy. A man who sang not only with talent, but with soul. Final reflection. The last 24 hours of Elvis Presley's life reveal both triumph and tragedy. They show a human being confronting his own limits, yet still dreaming of music and connection. He left this world too soon, but his art remains eternal. As night falls over Graceland, the echoes of his voice still fill the air. Hurson. Elvis Presley has left the building, but never our hearts. Closing narration. Thank you for joining this journey through the final day of the King of Rock and Roll. Behind every legend is a human story of love, loss, laughter, and music. Elvis's last 24 hours remind us that greatness and vulnerability can exist side by side. His voice, his spirit, and his influence endure. Long live the King. Thank you for staying with me through this emotional journey. If you're still here, you're not just a casual fan. You're part of the family of hearts still beating to the rhythm of Elvis Presley's music. Tonight, let's slow down and step beyond the final 24 hours. Let's walk into the quiet corridors of legacy, where the King's story continues to breathe. Close your eyes and imagine Graceland at dawn. The dew on the lawn catches the first spark of sunlight. Somewhere inside, a record spins softly. Maybe Can't Help Falling in Love. That sound isn't just nostalgia. It's a bridge. Every note carries us to 1954 Memphis, when a shy young man stepped into Sun's studio and changed music forever. Picture the nervous 19-year-old, slicking back his hair, adjusting his guitar strap, not knowing that the next few minutes would rewrite music history. That's the kind of magic that can't be planned. It just happens. Elvis's journey after life is as remarkable as his career. Fans gather at the Meditation Garden every August 16th, candles flickering, guitars strumming faintly in the night. Mothers bring children who weren't even born when he left us. Grandfathers hum along to Suspicious Minds, their voices trembling with memories. It's proof that greatness doesn't end. It evolves. The lines outside Graceland stretch around the block, a living river of devotion that keeps flowing year after year. People arrive from Japan, Brazil, Germany, South Africa, every corner of the globe, to pay quiet tribute. They kneel, they whisper prayers, they sing softly as if Elvis might still hear. Consider the artists he inspired. The Beatles admitted they wouldn't have existed without him. Bruce Springsteen once said he couldn't sleep the night he first heard Elvis on the radio. Bob Dylan called hearing Elvis like busting out of jail. Even today, pop icons and country stars trace their roots back to that electrifying blend of blues, gospel, and rockabilly that only Elvis could fuse. His fingerprints are on hip-hop beats, indie ballads, and stadium anthems. From Michael Jackson to Harry Styles, every performer who swivels a hip or dares a high note owes a quiet debt to the king. But legacy isn't only about records and sold-out shows. It's about moments of kindness, stories whispered by those who knew him best, the time he quietly paid a stranger's hospital bill, the way he greeted staff by name, remembered birthdays, and slipped gifts into pockets when no one was looking. He once bought a waitress a brand-new car because he sensed her struggle. These small acts built a kingdom of compassion, not just fame. Friends often said that giving made him happier than receiving, that he found more thrill in helping someone than in any encore. Think about his laughter. Friends recall how a single joke could set him off until tears streamed down his face. Or the way he'd gather family and the Memphis Mafia around a late-night piano, gospel harmonies filling the house until sunrise. These aren't just anecdotes. They're living echoes, reminders that the king was as human as he was legendary. You can almost hear the clink of coffee cups, the low hum of voices, the sudden roar of laughter that shook the walls of Graceland. For those of us who never met him, Elvis left clues, hidden in the pauses between lyrics, in the aching sincerity of a ballad, in the sudden fire of a rock anthem. When you play If I Can Dream, it's as if he's still urging the world toward hope, justice, and love. His music invites you to dance when you're joyful and comforts you when the night feels too long. It's a hand reaching across decades, reminding you that you are not alone. So what do we, the faithful listeners, carry forward? Maybe it's the courage to be different, to mix styles and break molds. Maybe it's the gentle lesson that fame is hollow without heart. Or maybe it's simply the joy of turning up the volume and letting music heal what words cannot. Perhaps it's the strength to keep dreaming when life feels small, because Elvis himself began with almost nothing and dared to dream anyway. Before we say goodnight, take a moment. Picture the glow of stage lights, the hush before that first note. Feel the tremor of excitement when the crowd realizes Elvis has entered the building. That electricity, that pure connection, still lives inside you every time his voice plays. Remember the way he'd tilt his head, flash that mischievous grin, and let the first chord ring out. It's a spark you can carry into your own life, to light up a room, to dare something bold, to love without hesitation. Thank you for staying until the end, for letting these echoes wash over you. Keep the songs alive, share them, sing them, and whenever you feel the world moving too fast, remember the man who once said, "Truth is like the sun. You can shut it out for a time, but it ain't going away." This is your moment to keep the sun shining. Long live the music, long live the king, and long live the spirit that reminds us all to dream a little bigger, sing a little louder, and love a whole lot deeper, just like Elvis did.